smoking, like the partaking of alcohol. These are considered as sin taxes. And sin taxes, you cannot reduce sin taxes under the pretext that you want to increase government revenue. In any case, that is why we are having a whole bill, a whole new legislation to be able to control this, I don't want to call it a menace, but this habit of gambling, Honorable Speaker. And I really want to persuade the members of the Sports Committee that they cannot be reducing taxation at a time when we are even looking at an opportunity with the bill that we just passed on the lottery bill to be able to tap into the resources that people are putting in gambling through a national lottery. We should be increasing that revenue, gross gambling revenue tax, not reducing it from 15 to 13. I would actually be proposing that we move that gross gambling revenue tax to a level of about 25%, so that we are able to collect more revenue. We are able to, through the lottery, national lottery, to be able to raise much more revenue to go to good causes. And the good causes, as we said, include the rehabilitation of people who are addicted to gambling. And I've said it before, Honorable Speaker, even in our own families, we know people who are addicted to gambling. And gambling is extremely addictive. It's actually more addictive than alcohol and smoking. Not that I have ever smoked, gambled, or I used to drink at some point, and I know how addictive it could be. I have never smoked, but I see how addictive smoking gets. I have said before, Honorable Speaker, I am a teetotaler, and I am a confessed addict of tea. And Honorable Speaker, I cannot leave my house before I take even a sip of tea, and it's Kenyan tea. Honorable Speaker, there are people who are pushing me to say Kericho tea. I said Kenyan tea. And now there's a new saying that there is no conversation is complete, and there is no subject that is so difficult that you cannot settle it over a good cup of Kenyan tea. Therefore, my addiction with tea is a good thing, Honorable Speaker. But I know what addictions do. You are dysfunctional when you have not taken what you usually take. But unlike tea, those who are addicted to gambling comes with a huge cost, not just to them as persons, but also to their families. People are spending money that's supposed to go and settle school fees for their children or for medication to gamble. Honorable Speaker, all these members will tell you that in their backyards, there are people who wake up in the morning, go to their local shopping centers to gamble. And that's all they do a whole day. They will be at the street corners and corners of their shopping centers waiting for their Waheshimiwas, their MCAs, their members of parliament, whenever they are passing, to ask for handouts, not to go and do anything productive, to go and gamble with the hope that they will make it in life through gambling. Honorable Speaker, we must ensure that we discourage our young people from getting into rather unproductive economic activities like gambling, and encourage them to get into more productive, economically productive activities other than gambling, Honorable Speaker. And you don't do that by lowering tax. When you lower tax, you make it very easy for them to gamble. And I know the other argument, Honorable Speaker, and I have seen it in the presentations by the industry players, that once you raise the taxes here, people will go and start gambling outside the country online. Honorable Speaker, if governments around the world are able to stop people from using WhatsApp, how difficult is it for a government to stop people from gambling online? It is possible, Honorable Speaker, and you don't need to stop them. Tax them even when they gamble online. At the end of the day, there will be a way that you have to remit money, whether it's through PayPal, whether it's through M-Pesa, whichever means that you use to transmit that money. to the company you are gambling with, whether it's a company in the UK, whether it's a company in the US, whether it's a company in South Africa. So long as you're able to remit money, government should be able to institute means and mechanisms through which the person who is remitting the money pays a tax, even at the point of remitting. And those are some of the new innovations, Honorable Speaker. I was hoping the Sports Committee would be innovative enough. But I do hope, Honorable Speaker, at the right time, because these tax matters, again, are better handled by the Finance Committee. And I hope even as we get to the next finance bill, we should get to a position where we'll be innovative. The Finance Committee and the National Treasury must begin thinking, how is it that they can also be able to tap into those who are gambling online, so that they either pay as a gamble and they're able to get part of the money even for those who win. So that, Honorable Speaker, the defeatist argument that if we raise our taxes here, people will go and gamble online in companies outside Kenya, then we can be able to get money even from those that are outside Kenya. Honorable Speaker, I said I don't want to dwell too much on this bill because a lot is what we said yesterday on the lottery bill, but I really want to plead with members to help us pass this bill, because it is dealing with a known national vice in Kenya now. Gambling, Honorable Speaker, and it's not just the young. I have seen around the country very elderly men and women who spend all their time gambling. And I said, Honorable Speaker, yesterday, our radio stations, especially our vernacular stations, have made it now the norm. For every 2 sentences on a vernacular radio station that you listen to, the third sentence is promoting gambling. Honorable Speaker, I do hope that the measures therein in this bill to even control the advertisements of gambling companies will come to fruition when we pass this bill, so that we don't encourage Kenyans to gamble by bombarding them on TV with advertisements on vernacular radio, and that's how we are roping in even the very elderly, because they are made to believe that the easiest way to make $500,000 shillings is to just text a number to some radio station, and those people are collecting billions. Honorable Speaker, I said yesterday, it is now reported that most of our mainstream media stations are making more money from gambling than from their core business of broadcast or even from advertisements for corporates, Honorable Speaker. We must protect our people from being taken advantage of. Unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, it is not you and me who gamble. Although I know in the last parliament, Honorable Speaker, we had one member, without naming names, who was an addict. And he would leave the chamber and run off to some casino somewhere. I have not seen that in this parliament, Honorable Speaker.
You knew one, I knew 3.
I didn't even say from where, Honorable Speaker. I hear somebody saying one from somewhere. You know 3. But unfortunately, it is 3.
I knew 3.
It is 3 in a population probably of 349 members of parliament and about 64 or 67 senators. So in a population of about 500 people, you can count 3 or 4. But if you go to the population outside there in our villages, Honorable Speaker, the most vulnerable people in our society are the ones who are being taken advantage of. It's actually immoral that we are taking money from the poorest of the poor. And because you make it look like you only need 10 shillings, 30 shillings, 50 shillings, it becomes customary that I will try my luck with my 10 shillings today, at lunchtime another 10 shillings, in the evening another 10 shillings, tomorrow I'll up the stakes to 30 shillings, the next day 50 shillings. And you know, they lure them by making them win with their 10 shillings bets. You win 100 shillings, then you spend the 100 shillings betting, hoping that you will now win 1,000 shillings. The day you win 1,000 shillings after spending 3,000 shillings, you win 5,000, you bet that, hoping that you will eventually be the one winning the $500,000 or $1 million shillings that is being promoted on TV. Honorable Speaker, I want to say I particularly support the provisions to also regulate the advertisements of gambling, betting, Honorable Speaker, so that we protect the most vulnerable, not just of our youth, of our elderly, but also of the very poor in our society who are being taken advantage of. And unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, when you look at the people who run these gambling companies, they are extremely or filthy rich people, very wealthy people. But they are making more money from the poorest of the poor in our society. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, we have an obligation and a duty to protect our poor people from being taken advantage of, to ensure that we have good laws that will protect them, that will not make gambling look like it's a very good thing, Honorable Speaker. And as I said, since it is, in fact, I know in some religions, Honorable Speaker, they consider it to be a sin. And that is why I said, even in tax matters, this should be classified as a sin tax. And therefore, we cannot be encouraging reduction of taxes. And that's why I said I completely disagree. And I know Honorable Mashukuru, the Vice Chair, was here. I had indicated to them I disagree with the proposals in their report to reduce that tax. If anything, today we have, I think, excise duty at 12.5% in the last finance bill, which we passed only in July of this year. We had 5% withholding tax. Therefore, you are proposing not even to move from 15, you are proposing a tax cut of about a gross of 17.5 to 13%. Honorable Speaker, not during such hard economic times when we should be looking for avenues to raise every extra shilling. I will therefore be proposing amendments at the right time, Honorable Speaker, in relation to that clause 45 and clause 46 that touch on levies and taxes, Honorable Speaker. With that, I beg to move and request the Deputy Whip, who is also a member of the committee, who was designated by the Chair and the Vice Chair to second, on behalf of the committee to second. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Naomi Wako, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the Leader of Majority in moving the Gambling Control Bill 2023, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023, as it has just been read. Mr. Speaker, it is clear that gambling is attracting a lot of attention and also has many people who practice in our country. And that is why Gambling Control Bill 2023 is here to seek and replace the Outstanding Betting, Lottery, and Gaming Act of 1960. This was done. The Act of 1960 is long time ago, many years ago, and I believe not many people who are here today were born by that time. The bill seeks to institute a comprehensive legislative framework for the regulation gambling in Kenya, with specific emphasis on incorporating safe gambling principles within the sector. Additionally, the bill seeks to establish the Gambling Regulatory Authority, which shall bear the responsibility of licensing, regulating the gambling sector. Mr. Speaker, we have had a lot of challenges, just as I said yesterday with the lottery, that even with gambling, many people have ruined their lives simply because of wasting their money, anticipating to be rich the following day, and in a way, it has also made people to be lazy because they believe in waking up every morning, doing this, and getting rich without working very hard. And so this particular gambling control bill will help us to put in place all the measures that are needed, legislative framework that will guide and regulate gambling in Kenya. And again, just to have the gambling principles within all the sectors, and again having gambling regulatory authority, whereby all the matters that concerns gambling will come under them, and they'll be able, the authority will be able to regulate, the authority will be able to investigate, the authority will be able to act in case of anything. Honorable Speaker, the Department Committee on Sports and Culture, in its consideration of the bill, noted the inadequacy of the current legal and institutional framework in addressing modern challenges existing within the gambling sector. Additionally, the committee expressed concerns about the organization, enforcement, and consumer protection aspects of gambling activities in Kenya. The committee therefore acknowledges the need for comprehensive overhaul for the legal framework relating to gambling in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, those who have been practicing gambling in our country have been exposed in many ways and have not had any protection. Many of them have lost even their properties. Many have even not been given their due rights. And that is why many of the people who have been in gambling have ended up being frustrated fellows, have been moved to depression and all these other things. And many of them keep complaining about the practice and all these other things. And when this bill will be approved, their protection will be assured, and even the people who own the gambling companies will be able to live within that and be able to give the people of our country their due rights. Honorable Speaker, the bill recognizes that gambling is a shared function between the national government and the county government. And it is important for us to know that yes, the policies are made, and it is there for both the national government and also the county government, because most of the people who practice this are within our counties and at the grassroots level. And that is why this will help our country, because it provides for the schedule to the Constitution. The bill, therefore, assigns a specific role to the two level governments and proposes concurrent regulatory functions for the national and county governments in gambling activity. Mr. Speaker, the bill also seeks to do the following. Number one, provide framework for the regulation and control of gambling activity. Once we do that, then we have protected the interest